back, everyone, to the Stadium Journey podcast. Thanks for joining us today. Our website, stadiumjourney.com, is the world leader in sports travel information with reviews of over 2,500 stadiums from all around the world. And we are more than just an awesome website. Connect with us on our social media channels. We can be found at Stadium Journey for this podcast. If you want to listen to this podcast while you're in your car or at work and you're goofing off or something, it's easy to find us. Pick up your phone, type in HIAC Talk Radio wherever you look for your podcasts. You'll find us. We'll pop up. If you'd like to watch the podcast, like some of you may be doing right now, go to Stadium Journey's YouTube page. And if you want to be part of our live studio audience, we record live every other Tuesday night at 7 Eastern at danlaw.tv. The gang's all here tonight. Let me give them all a quick introduction. Dave Cotney's with us. Follow him at ProFan9. Mark Viquez is here. Follow him at Ballpark Hunter. The above average comedian and Dave's new best buddy, Dan Colachico's here. You can follow him at DanLaw83. And I am Paul Baker. You can follow me at PuckmanRI. And tonight we are happy to be joined by Stadium Journey's own Michael Davis to talk about stadium security.
How you doing, everybody?
Good, Michael. So why don't you let our listeners know what qualifies you as Stadium Journey's resident stadium security expert?
Well, I've been doing security. Well, first I was in the military, so I did a lot. That started it all. About 33 years now. I've been working security events, but it did start in the military. They grabbed us one afternoon and asked us if we wanted to go down and do some security for some Raider games. So I volunteered, and that's what started it all. It was actually with a company called CSC. They're still around.
They sure are.
They're one of the largest, if not the biggest, in the country. But then now I work for Andy Frame Services, which is what they basically are the third or the outsource of the Dallas Cowboys. So AT&T Stadium. I also work Live Nation for concerts. So yeah, I've seen a lot over the last 30 plus years.
Yeah, as someone who follows you on social media, I've seen pictures of you on the field at AT&T for Cowboys games, for different events. What would be the most famous event you've ever provided security for, or is that on a classified basis?
No. I mean, Super Bowls I did security for. That's probably the largest and the craziest, and probably one I will never do again. You would think football games when I do security are majority of fun. The Super Bowl was work. Safe is the NFL's main security company. And they're also in Phoenix, Jacksonville, Baltimore. There's a few other stadiums that they're around, but they're the ones who the NFL looks at and brings into these different venues. And basically is a supervisor and consultant for everyone that comes and works the Super Bowl. And the biggest thing to take away from it was we're in orientation. And the guy who's in charge of it said, basically you'll have a 20-hour workday, and somewhere there's a football game in between there. And he was 100% correct.
I know that story because I worked, I worked for the Patriots for 7 years, and I worked for the Kentucky Red Sox for a dozen years. And people are always coming up to me and said, "Oh, you must love the job. You get to watch all the games." And I said, I probably see 5 plays a season with the Patriots.
I see it a little bit more with the Cowboys, but yeah, the Super Bowl was just a beast by itself. Security-wise, I've been in the military. I've got on military bases easier than you could get into the Super Bowl. So, and might be laughing, but I think it's 100% true.
No, I'm laughing because I remember one game at McCoy Stadium. We had the governor's convention that was in town, and one of their activities for all the governors was a Paw Sox game. And so we had to go through this ridiculous security pit stop. And this was before the days of big time security.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to go through 2 checkpoints to go in, and there were snipers up on the roof of McCoy Stadium and everything. And you know how many governors showed up to the game?
None. One. Okay.
So let's be specific. So how is that Super Bowl different security wise than a regular Cowboys game? What are they doing differently?
Well, first of all, everyone get a background check to even be able to work down on the field. We don't really they're not as strict for a regular third party company, but for the Super Bowl that we had to go, we basically just fill out paperwork, get a background check. Our credentials changed. Each day on your credential would tell you where you're allowed to be and what part of the venue, because there's not just the Super Bowl game itself, but we were allowed to work like the NFL experience over in the convention center. So that was all part of the package. But basically, you got, it was just so much more like in Cowboy games, I know people. And we basically, there's places we can get even though we don't need to be there. The Super Bowl, you won't. If you're not supposed to be access that area, you won't get there.
And people probably have this image of what a security guard does. It's just just got to be big and tough and look strong there. But depending on where you are in the stadium, your job could look radically different.
Correct. Even though the biggest thing the security does that people don't realize is we're actually there more for safety than anything else. We keep eyes on such as at the Cowboy games. We've had a couple people fall from the railing. So basically, and people every game we're telling people to stay off the rails. Don't lean on the rails, don't lean over. So besides just checking credentials or escorting people, or it's a lot of our job safety.
What stadium was it where the people fell on the whole railing collapsed? Was that in Washington?
Yeah, I think that's where Washington.
Yeah, I know. Even at a small place like a minor league hockey game, mostly there you get ushers who don't do a damn thing, but the ushers who are doing their job are constantly telling people, get off the stairs. Get off the stairs.
They fell onto Jalen Hurts. I know that because that was after the Eagles game. Good stuff, Mr. Schneider.
So what about volume? I would assume that the difference in attendance at the Super Bowl at AT&T is not going to be hugely different than the attendance at a Cowboys game, just because the Cowboys are going to sell out, anyway.
Right.
So what's the difference in volume of the people working the game there, security?
Let's say it probably the actual count for workers doubles, so because you're actually covering more spaces. It's not so much on the people coming in as it is just certain areas need to be blocked off for whatever reason. Different rooms, different suites. There's a lot more people are involved in the security of a Super Bowl than a normal football game.
And of course, you're going to have a ton of, celebrities that are showing up at a Super Bowl. Are they all coming with like their own little security entourage and all that jazz, or?
Some do, yes. Not all, but yeah, a lot of people. There's a lot of people that have their own security unit or security person.
Oh, I always travel with my own security.
Yeah.
And does that make it, more difficult having individual security in and around?
Actually, it kind of helps because you kind of, if you get a talk with them, they kind of tell you what they're expecting, and you're basically just a guide. So actually, I'm fine with that.
Okay, there you go, Paul. Bring your own security to the Cowboys game. You're sure to make more friends.
There you go. Maybe I can fake my way right down on the field or something.
You just get Pam one of those jackets that says security on the back.
It happens.
That's like everybody walking around with shirts that say staff on them or security. But you're not either one of those things.
Well, I mean, it's not really a big secret, but if you noticed this season, any security on the field had yellow armbands. And basically, the NFL wants to know and keep track of how many people are actually on the field during the game. So, like, I could be on the field before kickoff without that yellow band, but once it's kicked off, I'm asked to leave unless I have one, because that way they know how many people are on. But they just started this past season.
Probably had some problems with interlopers.
Or could have.
There's my word of the show: interlopers.
Okay, so let's go there. You've been doing this Cowboy games. I'm assuming for the most part on the field for
Correct.
30 years.
Correct. Yep.
So how's that changed? Let's even simplify it. Let's leave Texas Stadium out of this for now.
Yep.
Let's just go AT&T. How has that changed in the life of AT&T Stadium?
For the most part, I don't. I'm going to take that back. I think they're getting a little more harder on us, taking it as far as more of a career, serious. Where before it was kind of more like we were just bodies told to, hey, do this. Now I think there's a lot more training involved. There's a lot more. It's a little bit more work, I guess, than when I originally started, and for the good reason, obviously. But it's definitely become more serious.
So what kind of training is going to be involved then? I know a guy. His name's Mike. He's going to get me a job, security at the Cowboys.
But that's how it starts.
What kind of training am I getting?
I'm guessing your training looks a whole lot similar to the training I have to go through where I work in nonviolent crisis intervention.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. That's it's how to talk to people, communications, how to resolve or dealing with unruly fans. And then the special thing about what to say to them and what not to say to them. I mean, we're told not to, even though if we feel. I mean, most people say they're drunk. We cannot actually say that to them, that you're drunk. We cannot make that observation for many reasons, and they've gone through that in the class that we don't know why they've been acting, even though to the regular person they would say they're drunk. But legally, we're not allowed to say that in public or in our write-up even.
Right. Because you can't back that with an observation unless you have a breathalyzer test.
Right.
You're just assuming. Right. It's
right.
Not
and then that opens up lawsuits against you and the company. So
allegedly.
Allegedly.
Can't even say that.
You can't say allegedly?
You write down what you can observe. So a person was unsteady gait, slurring his words, arguing with other fellow fans, stuff like that. You have
surrounded by 8,000 empty
beer cans. Well, that is a fact that you can observe and measure. Yes, so that is okay.
But you can still not say he's drunk.
Exactly.
So how did it change then with the move? When you're going from Texas Stadium to AT&T Stadium?
I like Texas Stadium. Texas Stadium was more fun, I thought. But well, first of all, it was easier access at Texas Stadium. You had the stairs that went straight down to the field. This AT&T, you have clubs now, and in the beginning of the seating ends basically 6 feet above the field, other than the suites. So you really don't have easy access to the field other than the suite people themselves. So to me, I think it's a lot easier being on the field for security for AT&T than it was Texas Stadium.
Does some of that have to do with like the way that the stadium is designed? I know one of the things that I complained about when I was there is that basically between the 30-yard lines, it's, and maybe this is like this everywhere, but in between the 30-yard lines at AT&T Stadium, you're getting, those are all club seats. Like Joe Average has no opportunity to even get to that section. If I want to go from one end of the stadium to the other end of the stadium, I got to go up to the 400s all the way across and then down again.
Correct. Yep, and that's one part of it. But the access is there, especially during football games, like you just said, Cowboys and the Cotton Bowl. They keep those middle, from between the 30s. If you don't have a ticket for that area, you're probably not going to be in there. So, I think that the restriction of how they set up the stadium compared to the other one was just seating. There was the clubs were trying to remember. Don't remember suites there, other than the club in the end zone at Texas Stadium that was enclosed. So yes, I think the change of the stadium makes it definitely harder for the average fan to get down lower.
Now, would your compatriots who are working security like up in the rafters where us poor folk are going to hang out, would they disagree about how easy it is, or like is that going to be a more challenging job than being on the field? Or
I think so, because you're dealing with the public directly.
With those drunks that you can't call drunk.
Exactly. The field, you kind of, as we call it down there, it's a privilege to be down on the field. There's a lot of things do happen. It's getting more and more strict down there, and more and more awareness as things has happened. But we're not dealing with the common fan up there. Where the other security people we have our quick response teams. I mean, that's something that I wouldn't do. You're always dealing with people that are fighting or have decisions, arguments. They're running around the stadium up there. And no, I'd rather stay down on the field and enjoy it.
Now, does that cause a little bit of animosity between your group? Like, oh, you lazy field guys, you got it easy down there.
I don't think that. I mean, some people actually enjoy. They don't want to. I have a friend who's he started on the field. What he does now is he goes upstairs for the games, and then after the game's over, he comes down for the hour extra that we have to stay on the field after the game, and then he comes down and does that because he'd rather have some action. He enjoys it up there. So it all depends on what your what you want to do and what you like. Personally, if I'm not on the field, I'll do some. I'll be in the seat watching the game. I don't want to play with that. Anything else? I've worked gates. They've sent me out to gates, so I've done the gate side. And no, I had this job. This job's supposed to be my fun job. I mean, the money's nice, but no, I can live without it.
Yeah. All right. I've got a question from our audience here. Gregory Koch is asking, have you ever done security at an event where a U.S. president or other very important politician with very important security protection was attending? And if so, what was it like?
Have George W. Bush come to a lot of our events. So, yes, to answer that. It's real quiet, low key. Most of the people don't even know, even the security people, until the last minute, like when he walks out onto the field, that he's there. So it's basically a need to know. He has his own, Secret Service is always with him. Once in a while, I'm going to assume opening day Ranger game that he'll be there. I mean, as a security person, I would already prepare that in my mind, knowing that he's pretty much there. Other people, we're probably not going to know about it until, like I said, only the higher ups will know about it, and they don't tell us. So,
yeah, it's funny. Actually, in the way back machine, my very first ever Stadium Journey review was at the odd Kitchener Rangers, and it just so happened the Prime Minister was there at that game. Now, we're not talking about being in a stadium of 80,000 or anything like that. We're talking about being in an arena of about 5,000, 6,000, something like that. And it was, I mean, the security was like, it was a little longer getting in, not terrible. But I would say it was really surprising how innocuous it was.
mhm.
Like I could see where he was sitting from my seat. And if I really picked it out, I'm like, okay, that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy. I bet you those guys are like his detail, but it was not disruptive at all. Like if you didn't know, you wouldn't have known it. Like it was news. It was in the paper, right? So, yeah, it was a little surprising.
Yeah. And that's pretty much how I've gone through it. There's nothing, haven't been to an event that where all of a sudden someone like that of that status has caused any issues. It's usually just normal, everyday operations.
Speaking of everyday operations, I was trying to put myself in the seat of an average fan. Hey, that is me. I am an average fan. Where most of us will come into contact with security personnel are basically entering the facility and then in your seats should somebody be rambunctious. So I want to talk about the changes that have happened entering facilities, especially the bigger ones like NFL games, Major League Baseball and stuff. You may not like what I have to say, like attacking it from the working side of it.
Okay.
So my experience with entering facilities is they're not looking for weapons on me. They're looking for me to be bringing in snacks.
Okay. I see. That's why I'm not on gate anymore. I'd let you bring in the snacks. I'm more worried about the other things. But
I've always had the feeling that I could sneak a knife into a stadium a whole lot easier than I could sneak a beer in.
Well, I would say that might be challenging.
Well, with metal
because
detectors might have changed the equation, but
my father-in-law on two separate occasions, he always carries this little, tiny little Swiss Army knife. Two separate occasions he's gone into a game and he's had to chuck it because they got it on him. You can't bring that in here.
It was funny, like with having a family and bringing kids to games. I taught them at a very early age how to sneak their own snacks in because season tickets going to 40 Bruins games a year. The snacks and drinks for kids, it would exceed the total of the tickets. So I taught them very early age how to sneak a 4-pack of Reese's peanut butter cups up their sleeve, and a soda or a bottle of water or something in their coat pocket. And it's funny, my little 4-year-old daughter walking in right through security every time.
So the rapper doesn't send it off, huh?
No. Well, this was before the days of metal detectors, but yeah, now I still go. Well, it's different at the dunk because I've been going there for 30 years, so I know every single security guard there, and even if I was to set all the sirens off, I think they would just let me walk right through anyway. So, but my bigger point was that I'm going to take Gillette Stadium as an example. With all the new security measures, I feel less safe on my way into the stadium than I ever have before. Because what I think has happened with the metal detectors and the posts and stuff, so you can't have a car come and ram in the whole thing. It's made a bottleneck at the entrances of stadiums where, and I really don't want to say this because then I'll be labeled a terrorist or something. I think you could go in and you could kill like a couple thousand people at once if you were in the right spot before a football game. I just think all it's done, you're safer once you get in the stadium, but I think it's just pushed the perimeter farther away from the stadium. I don't think it's really necessarily made it safer. I just think it's moved the perimeter. And that's just my opinion. Tell me how I'm wrong.
Well, you're going with Gillette, so I haven't been up there. But the security people should be trying to push out so it's not bottlenecking that way.
I've had this similar experience Every large
Everyone?
venue. Every large venue I've ever been to.
Yeah, that I could see your point. They do have security people out there trying to, direct people to. So I think you have at least someone out there to see anything suspicious. But outside the gate, like you said, I mean, you could say the parking lot, someone can do stuff.
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
so
Hey, look at the Dodgers Giants a few
Oh
years
yeah,
ago.
the guy who got
Right?
killed in the parking
There was
lot.
a guy that
Ryan
was
Starr.
killed in the parking lot.
Well, think about didn't they try to bomb a soccer game in France, and that's what they did. They only made it so close to the stadium, and that's what really protected the people inside. But it detonated some suicide bomber detonated himself like right outside the security checkpoint or something.
and that's go back to the Super Bowl security. It is the perimeter is pushed out that far. So by the time you get through your first perimeter, it's kind of another walkway before you're going through another one. So, like you said, if that were to happen at a Super Bowl, it'd be far enough away from the main, and it'd probably be less damaging to, the stadium or even
Numbers of people.
personnel.
Yeah. Okay,
So
that's what I want to say.
I promised I would bring this up. I'm sure I'm going to speak for Pam as well. As a security expert, please explain to me the imminent danger of a purse. Why
The clear
is
bag?
it
You're
that
going with
the
the clear bag?
purse has been banned?
Meg will also be on board with this question, Dave. This is a pet peeve of what's Meg's official title? I don't know, whatever Meg's title is. She's one of the big shots here at Stadium Journey. But this is one of her pet peeves as well. And yeah, Dave, I'm on board with you because I don't know how many times I've seen a woman, and you know what? It's also a clear bag policy. Can be very degrading or embarrassing to a lot of female fans.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've got to have your hygiene products in there, and they're there for the whole world to see. Some people don't care. Some people care very much.
Agreed. And the clear bag is just to help security, supposedly to help security to move people faster and to avoid people digging in the purses. And then once the Cowboys started selling it in the pro shop, I'm like, it's about money. So, I mean, you can
just
take
like
that
trying to take my snack away from me. It's money.
Yeah, when I worked gates, that's the biggest gripe I've heard. Purses they have the little measurements, and the purse is like a half an inch over their thing, and they want to send them back.
Oh, what was the last event? I went to an Elton John concert at Gillette Stadium last summer, and if you're familiar with the setup at Gillette, sometimes you're walking a mile and a half to get to the stadium from your parked car. And I don't know how many women I saw get turned around, even though they had big signs telling you what you could and couldn't. But just like you're saying, Mike, someone's purse or their bag is just a couple inches too big to fit in a little square. Go bring it back to your car.
Yeah, and again, that's why I'm not on gates, because I probably let them go through.
Well, and we're going past, and this I understand what you're saying about they're selling the pro shop. It's about money, but I think we're going to even go past that now, because there are a lot of places that have abandoned the clear bag policy, and they're going with the no bag policy. And
yep.
No clear bags, no bags at all. Now, I don't know what happens when the day comes when they're checking your pocket for plastic bags that you folded up in there.
Right. But they're also cashless too, so they're almost to the point where on your phone, basically bring in your phone, and that's your paying what you're paying for at the food.
Remember when we couldn't bring cameras into venues, like in the concerts? If you had a camera, they would confiscate it. Now everybody's got a camera, and they don't even watch the show. Everybody's taking a picture.
Or videoing it that they're there.
Yeah. Another thing that I see people stop for at gates, which it makes no sense to me, is like inhalers. My wife got a rash in trouble one time for bringing her inhaler into a game.
I did gates at Q2 Austin, the soccer venue.
Yep.
There's no tobacco allowed. If you have a vape and they see it come through, they ask you to take it back and won't let you enter the stadium. It's not even about smoking. They don't want it in there at all.
Well, and maybe this can, anyone can answer this one. At what point is this becoming counterproductive? So we're now targeting, maybe not targeting women, and definitely not we. The security's targeting women. You can't bring your purse in. You can't bring this in. You can't bring that in. We are, these places are, you have to have the tickets on your phone. So right away, that is making, older people less welcome to the game because they're not used to that technology. They don't use that technology. At what point does all of this security become counterproductive where it's like, you know what, it's not worth it, I'm staying home?
Well, that's kind of how I felt last year. I went to the Sugarland Space Cowboys game. We thought there was a box office there. There was a group of us. We all had to buy our tickets at once, which meant we had to pay people back, which, it's not terrible to do if you have cash or Venmo. But I was just imagining my Uncle Bob, who recently passed away. If he was at that game, he would have just said, screw it, I'm going home. I'm not getting out. I don't even think he had a smartphone to do all that. And we're just at a minor league baseball game, which I don't know if that's because of COVID or if that's just technology. In 5-10 years, that's going to be the thing. But it's sad when you came and paid by credit card at a box office to get a ticket in. And that's not even a big attendance. That's just a minor league baseball game. We're not talking about the Super Bowl. Yeah, it's a little crazy. But then again, you're talking to a guy who snuck into a New Jersey Devils game a few years ago. I found a little loophole beyond the lobby, and me and a couple guys just snuck in there, acting like we owned the place. So, unfortunately, they have to have security to catch idiots like me trying to say
you go through the employees. That's the easiest one.
Yeah, or there are some places where minor league ballparks, the way they're designed, you open a certain door and you walk in there and you have a 19, 20-year-old intern looking at you, and you're carrying a bag, or you look like you're supposed to be there, and they're not going to say anything to you.
I saw when I was 16, 17 years old, and I don't know how. I know Paul has been there, but the Binghamton Memorial Arena.
Yep.
I've snuck in for many of those games there because of those doors that are down. You have those stairways that go down that lead you out of the arena. I had a buddy that would open it, and I would pop right in.
Yeah. So, or at the old Lakewood Blue Claw, the current Lakewood Blue Claw Stadium, the smoking area. If you parked at the Quick Check, which is a convenience store in New Jersey / gas station, a bunk Wawa. You just park there and you walk across the street up this little hill, and there's the smoking section. So as long as you had a pack of smokes or a cigarette, you just filtered back in. So yeah, there was ways we figured out how to get in there. And
tickets cheaper than a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah, well, now, yeah, well, I mean, maybe I'm trying to think how much a pack of cigarettes were back in 2001, 2002. But yeah, you're right. Might as well buy the damn ticket. But I got another way to sneak into Lakewood. So. Trust me, I don't have to buy a packet.
And what do you think is the push? Like, where is this coming from? We can go back to 93. April 93 was, of course, when Monica Seles was playing a tennis tournament, and some crazy guy jumped on the floor and actually stabbed her.
I'm thinking Malice in the Palace.
911.
But in the last 20 years, and I feel like we've watched security increase drastically. I remember Andrew and Peter, when they were doing their Ultimate Sports Road Trip thing, they marked the Detroit Red Wings at the bottom because you had to go through metal detectors, and they didn't think that was welcoming for their fans, and it was, it just had a wrong feel for the arena and for the city. But now, my gosh, you go through metal detectors everywhere.
We at the Brockton Rocks, a summer collegiate baseball league team that probably draws 200 fans a game, go through metal detectors. They're everywhere now, like you're saying.
You never know.
But what has happened that this push is coming? Like, how is there
Lawsuits?
Are there incidents that are happening that we're not seeing? That we're not being told about?
I would think so.
Yeah, just precaution lawsuits. Somebody sues, especially when these minor league teams that barely is getting by, and that can just destroy a team. But I don't know if that's the push. It could be something else. But you're right. There's some ballparks you don't go through security, but you definitely go through somebody patting you down and checking you out, and it leads to a little bit longer lines, a little more congestion. But you understand it, you accept it, and it's part of life,
Right. I know some stories where people have been where they weren't supposed to. Some make YouTube, some don't. I mean, we've had a person when I was down on, let's see, what was it? It was it was a college game, and I want to think it was. All right, have a good one. Anyways, it was one of the college football games, and one of the media down there gets vests to get on the field for cameras and stuff. And this person just somehow got down there, put on a vest, went on the field with a camera, and basically was acting like the media. And it actually was one of the media people that told me they're not with the media. That's a fake credential.
That's like those guys who sneak into team pictures in Europe. They sneak on the pitches. Or how about Morgana, the kissing bandit? She's a danger to society.
So I think that stuff like that's happening where the public doesn't see it, but it does affect the security of that arena. Or if it gets higher up, obviously the Cotton. I think it was a Cotton Bowl. Since it's college, the Cotton Bowl committee people are the ones who oversee the game. So I'm sure it went up to them, and so yeah, I think it's a lot more out there than the public knows.
All right, so it leads me to a great question. At least I think it's a great question. So we were talking about what the fans will see from security. What's your biggest job that a fan wouldn't even know as part of being a member of the security team at an event?
Probably. Just keeping an eye out on the credentials on it all depends on where you're at. But as far as the field side, making sure that the right credentials. We've caught people. It's the game 3 of the NFL. Game 3 home game, and they're wearing a pass that shows home game number 1.
Yeah.
It's just seeing people will do that, or they get a post game pass that was for another game, and they just say, "Hey, I have this. Let's see how far I can get with it."
Hey, yeah, for us, for Stadium Journey, when we get credentialed to cover events, our credential will tell you where you're allowed to go. This gives you access to the field and the press box, or just the press box. So yeah, I can absolutely see where someone might try to get somewhere they're not supposed to be.
Yeah, and the credentials are they're different colors, have different numbers. So if you showed up wearing, like you said, a press pass that said for one game, you could just tell by the color or the letter on it. I've had passes where there's a giant G on it or a giant 10 for the number game. Mm-hmm. So, a pretty good eye would notice that. Of course, I did get to an Indy 11 game with a 2021 pass for a 2022 game. So it has happened.
Yeah. But then, the thing with the colors, especially the Cowboys, you pretty much learn them. We have blue for basically season, yellows for local press or for press that are allowed on the field, and then the red that Stadium Journey gets, which is basically you stay up in the press box.
If you're lucky enough to get to the press box.
What's that?
If you're even lucky enough to get to the press box.
Very, very true. Very true. But, so we'll see a lot of the red come down, and they're allowed on the field after everyone's cleared it, and they're allowed down. And they'll try to come down and they'll push the limits. Yellows will too. They'll come. So even though these people are issued the Crows credentials, they'll just try to come down there and see what they can get away with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something the average fan would never even know about. But you're keeping the order down on the field.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. Because sometimes it says no field access, concourse access. You have to look at those press passes, especially in the NFL, Major League Baseball, the Big Four. There's a lot more going on that pass. Sometimes you get a pass for a smaller league, and it just says media pass. It may even say for the whole year.
Right.
But
I love when I get a whole season pass.
Yeah, sometimes that happens. It's like, oh, I can come back. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is when we get credentials at Fenway Park, it's the opposite. I'm not allowed in the press box, but I'm allowed access to everywhere in the stadium.
Yeah.
Wow. It's a reverse one. So,
that happened to me one time with the Colts.
So I can go up on the Green Monster and get some pictures from there and go all the different areas in the stadium. Which
we usually get those in junior hockey, except it's not. It's just because the press box is like
three people.
Seats.
Yeah.
There's no room.
Oh, in Windsor? Yeah, they yelled at me one time about the size of the press box. I don't know if that's still the case.
I think the one interesting was when I got credentialed at Texas this year. They awarded us, the credential, but said, I have no seat for you. So, and it was obviously a sold out game. So, you just have to find your spot. So I kept walking the sideline there in the front row behind the TV benches, the media benches, looking like I was going somewhere, turn around, come back and watch. So, and then I did actually find a seat, but yeah, it was kind of interesting that they give you a credential, but then basically say, we don't have anything else for you. You got to figure it out.
Yeah, space can be at a premium. I'll say that if they first turn us down for a credential, I'll say, well, look, for my purposes, I don't need to be up in the press box. If you just give me access to the stadium, would be good. And then I'll go find a seat. What I wanted to ask you now, Mike, you don't do just sports games. You've done different kind of events. Security at a stadium for, say, a rock concert. How would that differ from a football game?
Well, I have one Saturday actually. Luke Combs is at AT&T. It varies because you're allowed to have people down on the field. Right. There's seating down on the floor seating. So then you had the barricades. I'm fortunate enough that I'm usually around the stage. So I'm basically just watching people to see if they rush the stage, or we clear aisles for the ones that are around there. And that's the hardest, trying to be polite to people who continually want to be dancing in aisles or don't listen, or the other stuff's easy. I mean, I've got one person last year. It was a big, I forgot what the name, but anyways, it was a Hispanic. I wish I knew what the band name was. Anyways, the female jumped the barricade, was running up to the stage, and I ended up tackling her. And she wasn't a tiny girl. She was definitely, so I got her down. The other guys helped me. Then her husband said, "That's my wife," and jumped the barricade, and we had to tackle him down. Oh. So it's normally concerts I enjoy but there's a few times it gets like that.
That's my wife who's trying to go and attack Menudo.
Yeah, exactly.
Are they still around?
I don't know if they are or not.
I think officially they're done. They had so many different members because of the puberty rules. So my wife was a fan of Menudo for a little while.
So
like Ricky Ray, I think.
Let's look in the crystal ball. How do you think security is going to change over the next 5 to 10 years? What are we going to see coming in that we don't already see? Full body cavity search to get into the Cowboys preseason game.
Would you see a scanner like in the airport or anything like that? I don't think it would be
I
that
would think
intrusive.
so. I mean, we've already had scanners at the stadium where you don't even have to take anything out of your pockets. You just walk through, and it'll tell you what you need to know.
They had those. I'm assuming they either had those in Philadelphia at the Wells Fargo Center, or they just didn't care because you just walked in, you didn't have to take anything out.
Right, and so I'm thinking that's the way to go. More advanced ways where it won't be a nuisance or a pain or time for the fan, because like we said earlier, it's going to get to a point where the fans just say, some people don't even fly because they don't want to go through TSA. So let alone do it for a ball game.
Yeah, if that can make the process smoother and less intrusive, I'm all for it.
Well, and you mix that with the cost, right?
Right.
With the cost rising, so now you're going to get a larger congregation of people with more money who probably feel entitled, and therefore, wait a second, I don't have to be scanned, or I don't have to be wanded, or whatever.
Yeah, I know those entitled people, or a few of them.
All right, so I think we've had a very intelligent analysis of security. So let's smut it up a bit. So what are like the weirdest things that you've seen, or I mean, other than tackling a menudo lady?
Well, weirdest, I'm going to say probably my very first memory, probably still to this day, my favorite concert that I ever worked. It was Billy Joel. It was 3 nights in the LA Sports Arena. So I got to work his dressing room area. And so they post me there, and I'm just standing there. And all of a sudden, this guy comes down in a robe and shower shoes and says, "There's no hot water in this place." And it was Billy Joel. So, he came up and he introduced himself. And, at that time he was still married to Christy Brinkley, and
did you see her?
Still a young one. Yep. Saw her.
Oh, that's even better.
Yep. Still one of the prettiest women, out there.
So pretty that it hurt to look at her. Yes.
But also what was really nice was after the end of the third night, Billy Joel ended up coming down to all of us that were down there and handing us a concert T-shirt.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy.
Yeah, he goes, "Thank you for being here. I appreciate you," and gave us a concert shirt. So 30 years of doing this, that's still my favorite memory. It was one of my first ones. So.
He spent the next 30 years trying to get something as good, and
trying to get something.
Failed.
But I have a lot of good memories of security. I met a lot of great people, but I can throw out there from the Cowboys game. I've seen Charles Haley out on the streets, and he knows who I am. He comes up and says hi to me and stuff. So kind of cool stuff like that.
You get relationships with people that you work with, and it could be the players that see you every single day, or it could be the fans in a certain section. I know, like, I've had season tickets for years and years in Providence, and the security guards are friends now.
Yeah, and that's what I tell people. Because I'm thinking, and haven't made it official, if this is going to be my last year, or if last year was my last year. But that's right there is what I would miss if I don't go back. Is seeing those people. It's like seeing a family every year during the football season. And I've seen kids grow up from when their parents were they're young, watching them have the kids, and now they're having kids. So yeah, it's definitely relationships when you work that long in that type of a position.
Now, have you ever had to see somebody who you had to, I don't know, you had an uncomfortable moment with? Have you ever had to see them come back? Hey, listen, buddy, I remember you from last time.
The funny thing, it wasn't, to answer that, yes, it was actually.
It was Billy Joel.
He was talking about George W. earlier.
It wasn't George W. or Billy Joel. It was actually a concert. We ejected this person and his girlfriend. I'm trying to think who it was, though. It was a country concert. But anyways, the following week, I was working security at the Colonial. And her and her boyfriend was coming through the gates, and they saw me, and they went the other way. So that was more uncomfortable for them than me, but but they remembered it. But yeah, that was kind of the weird one.
Man, this is like way tamer than I expected. I thought you were gonna have like some crazy stuff, and we ended up with a Billy Joel T-shirt.
well, I mean, there's other. I mean, I've had a. Here we'll go with another weird one. So during my first years, I was actually working a LA Rams game. I was actually out in the parking lot area to start. This actress, since she kind of came up in her Porsche, and she wanted to go a certain way, and I wouldn't let her. And she goes, "Do you know who I am?" I said, "Yes, I do." I said, "You're still not coming in, though." So she got frustrated. And anyways,
run over your foot.
What's that?
Run over your foot.
Yeah. So I get pulled in to work the sideline at the games, and then they're like, "Hey, we need you to go into the cover the locker room area." Well, this actress was there with her husband at the locker room area, and she saw me and kind of she kind of just looked embarrassed that she acted that way. So,
like, didn't you answer the question wrong? Like when they say, "Do you know who I am?" Aren't you supposed to say no?
I know her husband too, because he's a basketball player, NBA basketball player. So,
have you ever had to chase down like a streaker or somebody who like gets a run on the field?
Yeah.
No. Let's see. With that one, I don't even remember how long. We have had someone reach the field that for you guys that have been at AT&T. He actually jumped over the suites from the first row in the seating area lower bowl, landed on his feet without twisting an ankle, ran across to the end zone after the Cowboys scored, then ran down. It was against the Giants, and ran down to the middle of the field before the Giants security met him at a midfield before they handed him off to me, and I had to take him to our in-stadium jail.
How drunk was he?
What's that?
How drunk was he?
He wasn't. He actually had it planned, put it out on YouTube. I guess he's also does stuff like put some stuff into suitcases through airports, and so it was one of those tries to do this professionally or for notoriety, or it wasn't just your average fan that was doing it.
You know what I think is funny about those guys is like they think the big thrill is getting on and everybody's cheering and whatnot. And I feel that really they're not cheering for him. They're cheering for the security to just clothesline the guy.
Make the big hit, yes.
Like,
absolutely.
I love those ones where the guy's running and whatnot, and he ends up by the player, and the player just poof.
Right.
And he's flat out. Or there's a great one. It was years ago, and it was in Philly, and I want to say it was at a Phillies game, and the security guys were... Well, they didn't look very fast. Let's put it that way. So they pulled out a taser and shot the guy, and I was like, "This is the greatest thing ever."
See, we have to be licensed to carry stuff, so that's another level. So,
but I don't know. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that person who I probably could use some more colorful language about. I'm looking for them to lose their head.
Well, so I'm not sure if it was because of what happened at that Giants Cowboys game, but if you ever notice now, you'll have some security people that are lined up. Actually, looks like they're watching the game. what was developed after that happened the next year at AT&T, we call it a field intrusion team, FIT team. And their job is basically, as the people who are on the sideline looking at the crowd, they're looking at the field across at each other. So if someone does come on the field, they're the ones who go get them. And because prior to that experience, it would have been the people who are already looking at this crowd. So if they went and got them, then you're leaving an open space for more people.
Right. Huh.
So they basically that just start. And now I see like across the NFL, I've seen Indianapolis in there. But if you ever wonder why you're just standing there watching, that's their job.
Huh.
That's the team I want to get on.
Are those the fastest guys in the crew? Usually on the FIT team?
They're supposed to be. I know that the head of our FIT team, I work concerts with him. He's my supervisor for when I do Live Nation concerts. A lot of them are workout buddies, gym buddies. So.
I just thought of something. How about these people who are super gluing themselves to basketball courts? What would you do with those guys?
Wow.
Well, Mac, get the saw.
Exactly. Yeah, I haven't heard that one.
You haven't seen them?
No, I haven't.
Have you ever been at a like a college thing, like a court storming, or where all the kids run on the court or run on the field or whatever?
We did. When I worked the Cotton Bowl games, Texas OU. I've worked a few of the bowl games over there, and that's old stadiums, real easy access to the field. So, and actually, it happened. What was it not last year, but the year before. The Texas OU game, OU came back with Caleb Williams, brought him back, and so basically it was such an exciting game that the Oklahoma fans stormed the field. This year we got a little smarter and went down to the Texas side, even though they were blowing them out, and put these ropes and kind of went right across all the top of the first row. So all the fans basically, if they tried to go, was getting their rope in their guts. So we learned from that. But the one part that I actually was going to start with was my supervisor over there one time. North Texas was in a bowl game. It was one of their first ones. Anyways, we let them basically storm. Our supervisor said, "You know what? We don't get paid enough." He goes, "If they're going to storm it, we're not stopping them." He goes, "Let them go." He goes, "Don't go around chasing them or grab anybody." So that's more to answer your question, that one. So yes, I have been on both sides as one that's ran on the field and one who's, just stood there watching people run on the field.
Is that where you can like rip off your uniform and then join the kids running on the field?
Exactly.
All right, so I guess that's where we're going to wrap it up for tonight. Mike, we're going to ask you to join in our sign-off tradition since you're a member of the Stadium Journey team. Where are you headed? You got any Stadium Journeys planned over the next 2 weeks? And why don't you let our listeners know where they can follow you online should they like to?
All right. Let's see. I'm not sure where I'm going in the next 2 weeks. I am going to opening day, Rangers opening day. That's more against the Phillies.
Working or as a fan?
As a fan, but even as a fan, you still have to kind of keep stuff in your mind. So, because I am going to end up doing that review. So we're going to say the Ranger game, opening day.
All right, nice. Opening day is in March this year, correct?
March 30th. Yep.
Wow, that's soon. Wow.
Thursday,
yeah. All right. Dan, hey, Dan, I might have to mix this up a little bit. You hit the road last week, didn't you?
Well, I drove on it. I didn't hit it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I went to the Wings game with Dave here.
Best buddies.
Yeah, we're best buddies now. And so after the game, Dave wanted me to put my money where my mouth is, and
yep.
He's like, "You gotta take me to a cheesesteak place." So at the last minute, I thought, I got it. Rexy's Bar, which used to be the Flyers Ball. I say used to be because the outside looks the same, And in the inside, everything's gone. It's all the
The
murals.
inside looked very classy for a sports bar.
For a sports bar. It was really, everything was just painted over. And there is a big glass mural that was there for years of the Flyers after their cup run. And it's all gone now. But allegedly, we're going to have to hear from Dave here in a second. Food's still delicious. Went there for the cheesesteaks. And I always said that Rexy's they never get mentioned because nobody ever thinks about it as a cheesesteak place. But I reckon still one of my favorites. Dave would have to vouch. Dave?
Oh, is that the throw? The throw to
That
me?
was your throw. That was your throw to me.
No, it was good. It was very good. I will say this. I will point out that we had to leave Philadelphia for Philly cheesesteaks, and we went to New Jersey. So I don't know. I don't know if that's allowed or
Aren't a lot of the good places on the Jersey side.
Yeah, South Jersey's known for his cheesesteaks. I mean,
like Donkey's is in Jersey, right?
if it's one thing South Jersey does right, it's the cheesesteaks.
Here we go.
No, it was good. It was good.
Yeah, but I get it. I get it.
Enjoyed my cheesesteak experience there. So,
Mark, it's called a goddamn pork roll.
There we go.
It says it on the box. You should know your jersey says Jersey. God damn it.
So don't call it a sweater? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's not a sweater. It's a jersey, clearly. Damn it.
All right.
I will say, now, to be fair, real quick, I did explain to Dave, if we're going to go into the city, we're parking, we're staying, we're walking. A, my foot was out of commission, and B, neither one of us was driving into the city. So I was like, I know what we can do. I got you covered. And he still beat me there because Dan, I forgot what exit to take. So
yeah, I had another lacrosse game to go to. So
yeah, he was not screwing around. He went in, got a booth, and I was like, I'm here.
Poor shit.
Follow me and being right about pork roll at Danlaw83.
Mark, you got anything planned for the next couple of weeks? And let's just follow you.
Yeah, it's like a college baseball. Going down to Lexington, checking out the Wildcats ballpark, fairly new. After that, hopefully get out to Moorhead State because we have a review, but it's quite old. My friend has a cabin out there. I'm finally going to see it. So hopefully Moorhead, University of Louisville, their ballpark, Patterson Field, I think it's called. And then Bellarmine Knights, which we do not have a review of. I don't think it's much, but it's a Division I stadium that we need to have on the site. So those all fit into my schedule. And then this Saturday, high school state championships at the Greenbridge Fieldhouse downtown. Kokomo Cats are going for their first championship since, I think, 1961. So go Cats. Should be an exciting time down there. And you can follow all my adventures on YouTube at the Ballpark Hunter. Almost at 2,000 subscriptions. Keep them coming. Like, comment, tell me what you think. You can also check me out on Twitter and Instagram, Ballpark Hunter as well. And you can read my wonderful articles at Stadium Journey. So we'll see you there.
Send some of those subscribers over to us because the Stadium Journey page only has like 350.
Yeah, what time Jay Wagner was doing a pretty good job promoting that. You had more than me, but it's I should get on there. If I could find a way to get access on my phone, I can get access on it through my computer. If I can upload some shorts, you'll be surprised how much traction I can get. So shorts.
Shorts.
Yeah, shorts. YouTube shorts.
And I'm sure if you get shorts, it'll just say short across the back.
Yeah.
There won't be enough room.
Yeah.
They're better. Yeah, I need to get the hat.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
just say sure. See, look, he likes the White Sox. It literally just says White Sox. We're staying on the theme here.
Yeah. Well, you know.
The team that doesn't wear white socks, that team.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah,
well, they did. They did from time to time.
Especially like it when they went completely not White Sox in the 70s or 80s. It's like, oh, Jesus.
They went completely, they went crazy for several years. Every 5 years they changed their
Anyway,
Like when
take
they wore
it
the
back.
shorts.
Take it back over quickly, for God's sakes.
They had
Ryan.
red, Carolina blue.
All right, Dave, what
Corporal.
you got planned, and where can our listeners follow you?
I'm just apparently going to recover from going to the Wings game with Dan because I don't have anything coming up. So you can follow all that nothing on Twitter and Instagram at ProFan9.
Wait, Dave, I forgot to ask. Did you like how you said I'll meet you in front of Ed, and I asked 0 questions?
Well, I would sure hope that you
I
knew
well,
who Ed was.
you know, you'd be surprised if I said
Ed
that to
being
somebody else.
Ed Snyder.
Snyder,
The
yeah,
Ed
but if I said that
Snyder
to somebody else, they'd be like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "In front of the God, come on, man." We're at Ed Snyder.
You didn't meet
Come
at the Will Chamberlain gate?
No, we met at Ed, right next to the box office.
The new box office.
All right. Let's see. For myself, what do I got planned? Let's see. The Pride made an.
Well, yeah, you don't have any
more
Isabel
hockey.
Cup finals things.
No Isabel Cup this year. It was a shame because I get a grandson perfect size for putting in a cup. But anyway, so this weekend we're going to hit the road. Going to actually go up to Syracuse, check out one of the legendary lacrosse venues in the country, the Carrier Dome.
Nice.
Which is not called the Carrier Dome anymore. It's called the TIA Wireless.
It's still the Carrier Dome.
I think
Yeah,
it's,
it'll always be the Carrier.
I think
agree.
it's
It's the
JMA
Carrier.
Wireless.
Hold on, wait a second. I'm sorry.
Oh, Dan's
So
upset.
no, I'm not upset. So I'm not always upset, just when you talk because you're wrong.
I'm right, you're wrong.
I'm right. Yeah, I'm right. You're wrong.
Yeah,
so
once they got air conditioning, they dropped Carrier.
they
as a
changed
sponsor.
the name once they had air. Are you kidding me?
Nope. Ironic, isn't
The
it?
inventor of the
Don't you
modern
think?
AC.
Jesus, no. That's
Was that always
yes,
a
it is.
corporate name, the Carrier Dome?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Carrier air conditioning.
I
And they
never
never had
put
air conditioning
two-
for all those 40 years.
Well, you needed to.
I told you he was always wrong. See?
I never put 2 and 2 together.
Sponsored
Okay.
by an air conditioning company with no air conditioning in the facility. Once
And
they
then-
got the AC installed, new sponsor.
They probably couldn't afford the naming rights, actually.
Well, anyway, I'm excited to go check out a Syracuse lacrosse game there. And then at
Yeah,
night, we're
that
going to
should
go
be
see
fun.
the Syracuse Crunch. And on the way home, weather permitting, it's supposed to rain, so this might not happen. We're going to stop in and update Stadium Journey's University of Albany baseball review.
Oh. I bet, yeah. No Syracuse Mets? They're not playing yet?
No, AAA is not starting till early April. And then the rest of the minors start mid-April. It's weird. They all have staggered starts now.
Yeah, then they go out to like late September now. I got to get used to that.
Yeah, it's all different now. Yeah, it used to be very clean. Beginning of April to Labor Day. Boom. You can follow my adventures on Twitter and Instagram at PuckmanRI. And remember, you can find all of our 2,500 stadium reviews, news items, and other feature stories on our website, stadiumjourney.com. Connect with us on all of our social media channels at Stadium Journey. And you can find audio versions of the Stadium Journey podcast by searching HIAC Talk Radio Network, wherever you look for your favorite podcast. Video simulcasts of the Stadium Journey podcast can be found on our YouTube page. And be part of our live studio audience every other Tuesday night, 7 Eastern, at danlaw.tv. We will all get together in 2 weeks. That will make it April 5th, I believe, if I'm reading my calendar correctly. And we will be discussing a topic to be named later. So stay tuned. April 4th? That was a good guess. You know the knuckle trick? 31 days, 8 January, February, March, April. I did it wrong. So that's 2 weeks, April 4th. As always, thanks everyone for your support. Michael, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
For Dan, Mark, and Dave, this is Paul wishing you all safe stadium travels and close games. Hope to see you on the road again real soon. Be safe out there.